artist friends, it's Nicole, and it has been a little quiet around here lately, hasn't it? But first, before I talk about that, fair warning, this is a long, very long video. In fact, I've been putting off doing these voiceovers because of how long it is. So this is a little or a long haul video, but before I get into a little bit more about that, let's talk about what I am unpacking right now on the screen. So this rather large box of ephemera is from a local Austin artist. Well, he's no longer local. He was moving, I think, to the Virginia, Pennsylvania, somewhere area over there, cleaning out his studio, and had posted wondering if people would like to buy some large boxes of ephemera from him. He is kind of a mixed media collage artist, uses a lot of this type of like these postcards with the florals and different papers. And so I thought, of course I would want a box. What better to get than a box of ephemera from an artist? So it's already curated and things that I could potentially use, if not use, I'd, put them in my Etsy store or whatever. And also some new things for me to stretch my creative ideas with, because there's nothing better than some new ephemera to kind of get those creative juices flowing. So I got this box back in February, almost a year ago, and had not had a chance to look through it yet. It's been one of those years. A few weeks ago in the beginning of January, I kind of stumbled upon an unplanned but very much needed cleanup and reset of my studio. And while you're watching me dig through this box of goodies, I'll just talk about that a tiny bit. I had several piles of things like this box of ephemera, different things I found in my little artsy trips and travels, my art estates that I hadn't put away, some new art supplies that I hadn't played with yet. Basically, this year and maybe a little bit more, a year and a half, has been just a little bit of survival mode around here. I needed to go through this stuff, get it put away, reset my studio, and as I went through these piles, I thought it would be fun just to do a really long haul video, show you some of the fun things I found this year, talk about what's been going on, give you some updates, talk about some future plans, kind of what's happened in the past, and just share some things with you. So let's get on with that. So a little disclaimer first, this video, like any haul video that anyone shares, especially in the art world, is in no way to brag about all these cool things I found, but really to inspire you of where to find things. I've had a lot of people ask me all the time, where do I find my ledgers? Where do I find my ephemera? All that kind of stuff, and I'll share some of those things as I show them in this video. Also, this isn't everything I found in the past year. By the way, I love that little booklet I just showed you. Some of the things in this box are amazing and I could not wait to use them. You'll also see, I don't remember at what point, he has some of his artwork he put in this box, and I was so excited to find some of his pieces of rejected art as well. His name is Dan Barry, and I'll share his information below. But yeah, this is a curated box of ephemera from his art studio. Anyway, this is, again, no way to brag. There's one of his pieces of art right there. I just wanted to share with you some of the fun things I found, and I thought instead of me just talking about life and plans and future, and there's another piece of his art right there, why not talk about it and show you some things while, something's on screen. So also, I shop a lot of deals. I go to a lot of antique stores or markets. I also shop huge deals online. I have things that are gifted to me, and not everything is in this video. I've used some of it this year, and it was hard to remember things and pull them out. This is just the pile of stuff and fun finds that I didn't get to this year because life has been absolutely crazy. I will try to link my sources and everything that I can share with you below. If there is something that I don't link and I forget a supply and you want to know where I found it, go ahead and just let me know below. I will gladly share as much of this information with Phew that I can. I believe in supporting other artists. There are a few secrets that I don't give away, but I will share with you as much as I can on these supplies and any of the stores and things that I found them in. So this box is amazing. I am so excited to play with a lot of it. I'm going to sort it out, I think by color or by types. I'm not exactly sure. This is kind of starting a new style of ephemera for me that I haven't been using a lot in my artwork. And I will probably have a couple grab bags of it also in my Etsy store because there's no way that I can use it all, and it isn't all 100% my style. He did ask me, now I'm going through the other half of the box, he did ask me what I wanted, like what kind of my style was, how he could curate the box, and I told him I used a lot of black and white things in my art, a lot of old vintage papers. I didn't use a lot of colored items, but he does, so I knew I'd be getting a lot of color. Told him I like things with handwriting, grungy old papers. He had a couple, I love these that I'm showing you right now. I can't wait to share them. They look like his scraps. He had a couple book covers that I requested because he had shown some pictures of those and he threw those in. And basically that's what this box is. So if you see something that you love, let me know. And it might be something I am putting in my Etsy store. So you're probably already thinking, hey Nicole, how does one get such a cool box of ephemera and not even get a chance to dig through it until almost a year later? As I mentioned a bit ago, it's been kind of survival mode around here. We've had a few difficult years with our big move here to Austin from Houston, things going on, just life in general. It is the first time we had moved since we moved into our first house, so it's been a long time unpacking my art studio and getting resettled and finding things around here. It's just been a time. We've now officially will have lived in Austin 5 years this summer. Can you believe it? We're finally really starting to get settled in, but it's taken a while. Of course, you know, in the middle of all that was the crazy pandemic, which kind of really was not fun with moving in the middle of that. Well, not in the middle, but we moved before, then that happened. So it's been even more difficult to get settled. But then all of that, besides all of that, of course, was our gray kitty. In March of 2020, he was diagnosed with kidney disease, and the vet actually told us it would be 6 months probably that he would have left, but he ended up being with us for, almost 3 years longer than that. I always tell people he loved us just so much that he couldn't say goodbye just yet in those 6 months. Okay, a little break from that sadness. Perfect timing for a new video, right? This is a little haul that I picked up in Houston when I visited. Actually, I was there right before we said goodbye to our gray kitty. This is from a place called The Little Craft Place, and I'll link them below. Just some washi tape and some fun things that I want to use in my art journaling. This box has some really wide washi tape in it, and I want to use that for binding some art journals. Anyway, these are a few of the fun things that I actually had forgotten that I picked up there because of the events that followed. So when I came home from Houston, Gray Kitty had been going downhill for quite a while and we didn't realize it, and it just became time to say goodbye. He was no longer eating and we had to do that really hard thing of saying goodbye to him. So he was our pet and our kids, and so we don't have kids for almost 19 years. It was a really, really, really hard goodbye, and it hit me and us a lot harder than I thought it would. As much as I was in a way ready for him for that goodbye, it was just difficult. He had been sick for 3 years and we had been taking care of him, and we had not been able to travel because of it. Our life revolved around him. He was my buddy. I just spent a lot of time with him, and then having to say goodbye was just really hard, as you can imagine. So this last year, my time and my heart was filled with lots of time outside, working in my gardens, and just healing from the difficult few years that we had had. And the next bag here, haul number 3, is from the Creative Reuse store. I forget the name of it, but I'll link it below, in San Antonio. I had a little weekend away there and went to their little reuse store and picked up these fun little things. One thing that had kind of kept me sane over the last few years of the pandemic and caring for our sick kitty was to go on little trips when I could, to get away for a weekend or get away from a day. I just needed that time outside of our home, and I'm so thankful that my husband allowed me to do that, including that trip to Houston, this little trip to San Antonio. So needless to say, our big move, our sick gray kitty, Grayson, our life in general has just been a little more difficult and kept me out of the studio more than I planned. I spent more time outside of the studio than in, but every moment in my studio was just needed just as much as every moment in my garden. So most of this I will talk about what I'm showing on the screen, and then I'm going to share a few other things with you as well. Back to this haul on the screen. I'm sorry this is going back and forth. It's kind of hard to do like normal life voiceovers with what's going on the screen, but on up there, my haul from the Creative Reuse store is some sticky wallpaper that's textured, those 7 Gypsies things, that Liquitex little sample kit, and some string. You can see the prices on there, like 25 cents, $1, all that kind of stuff. I will link below a list of Creative Reuse stores if you've never been to one, because they are a great place to find fun art supplies. And speaking of reuse stores, this pile in front of me right now is from the Austin Creative Reuse store. Now this one's local to me. I don't get there very often, probably a few times a year maybe, and I do leave empty-handed a lot of times. This was probably my largest little find that I got there. I picked up that stamp and that stencil, those letter and number little stencils, these little circle reinforcement label things. One's kind of vintage looking and one's more white. These really cool tabs that I thought would be fun for some junk journaling, $1 each. I haven't used them yet. Again, these are all supplies that have been sitting in a pile waiting for me to use and put away. In fact, I kind of forgot I had a lot of this stuff. This is a fun vintage book that I picked up. It looks like a workbook. There's some maps and things that someone has drawn on. Coming up are a few more stencils and some paper that I found as well. I really love anything alphabet, numbers, letters, and typography. So whenever I see some new word or letter stencils, I often pick them up. This one from Dilutions Dina Wakley, I didn't think I had it, but I actually do. So this will probably be heading to my Etsy store. And then these old vintage stencils, I am so excited to play with. I think I'm going to play with them a lot with different colors of paint and make some like ephemera with them. And then actually use the stencils themselves as ephemera when they get all marked up. This is going to be so fun, and I had forgotten that I got these, and now I'm really looking forward to playing with them. Again, this is from our Austin area Creative Reuse store, and I will link below a webpage that has a list of Creative Reuse stores. If you've never heard of them before, check the list out and see if there's one close to you or at a place that you're going to vacation and travel. It is a great place to find used art supplies, new art supplies, things that you never thought you maybe needed. I highly recommend you check some of them out if there's some in your area. Alright, this next section of the haul is stuff that I purchased or my dad purchased for me when we traveled to visit my parents this year. We went home to my parents' house in Iowa, and then I spent a couple days up in Minnesota as well, where I'm originally from, and did a little shopping when I was up there. As I mentioned before, my husband and I haven't traveled together in 4 or 5 years since before we moved to Austin. It's just been between moving and COVID and restrictions and our kitty that we couldn't travel because of. It's been a hard few years, so this year we traveled a lot because we had a lot of places we needed to go and see that we hadn't gone to in a while. One of those places was home to visit my parents. So I went to a couple little antique stores and an antique mall with my parents when I was there. Those touring cards, this little vintage ledger book, and a couple of the other items coming up are from that little day that I spent shopping with them. So I'm pretty sure at least my mom is listening to this. If my dad is listening as well, thank you so much for buying these little books and goodies for me when I was up there. I look forward to playing with them now this year that things have calmed down a little bit around here. Soon after we said goodbye to Gray Kitty, we also traveled to the Nashville area and to Laurel, Mississippi. If you've watched the Hometown TV show, we did all of the fun things, Ben and Aaron in the area, and I know I picked up a few things in Nashville and Laurel, but either put them away or used them, and I don't remember what they were. But that was our first travel of the year. Then we spent a few weeks in July with my parents, and then we went a few other places, and those hauls will be coming up as well. So these, this book that I'm looking at right now, those touring cards and that ledger book were from an antique mall, and then those cool French books, I think they were French, were from a little antique store that we went to as well. And if you are in the Iowa area and want to know what they are, you are welcome to send me a message and I'll share with you any information about that. I had completely forgot that I purchased these tags. They were from a fun little crazy store in Minnesota. If you're in the Minneapolis area and are looking for a really unique store to visit, I highly recommend it. I don't remember the name, but I will put it below when I edit this video. It was a cool place with tons of ephemera, and I love these little tags, so I picked up a few sets of them. Now I have a few other books that I also found when we were in the antique stores in Iowa. There's a typing book and a shorthand book and a couple things. I picked up a couple extras, and they will be in my Etsy store because I already had similar books, but I couldn't pass up the good deals that they were. So look for these in my Etsy store as well. So while I'm paging through these books, I just want to also thank you so much for your support over the last several years. It's kind of been a crazy time in our life with our move and our saying goodbye to our Gray Kitty and everything that life has brought. And I so appreciate that you're still here, subscribed to my channel. And also those of you who are members to my channel, you know every time I post a video how much I thank you for your membership. And so speaking of, one thing I did add to my YouTube channel last year were memberships. I haven't promoted them a whole lot, but they are there. I would love for you to join me as a member. There are two options right now. One is just $1 a month. It's just a way to say, hey, thanks so much for putting your videos up. I appreciate it. There's not a lot of extra stuff you get for it, just some extra updates. Once in a while, I'll surprise you with some extra things. But mainly it's just a, hey, I call it send me a smile because it truly makes me smile that you want to invest in my channel at just that $1 a month level. I feel like I'm an infomercial here, but anyway, it's important that I share that because there are people that ask me how they can support me, and I don't promote it very much, but I do have memberships. So there's that $1 level, and then also the $5 level, and at that level you get some extra things, including videos with voiceovers, some special projects and videos, and I'll have that information about membership linked below. Thank you so much for even considering being a member. I love interacting with my members, and I would love for you to be one too. So the little haul I'm unpacking right now is a bunch of Tim Holtz stuff that I've been wanting. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of stores in this area that really carry these Tim Holtz products, so I was excited to go to a scrapbooking store when I was in Iowa and pick up a couple things I had been eyeing, and these are a few of them. I also was really excited to go to Dick Blick. I think I went to 3, maybe 4 Dick Blicks when I was up in the Midwest. We do not have them here. I order from them all the time, but there is nothing like walking around the aisles and looking at the art supplies and pick up a whole lot. One of the stores had these Sharpie markers on super clearance, so I grabbed a few of those. I also grabbed a few of their matte paints to try because I'd never tried them before and wanted to kind of compare them to my favorite So Flats. I just grabbed a couple colors that I thought would be fun to play with and see if I liked them. I also grabbed a couple other things that I'm not showing you because they're part of a future video that I'm going to put on my channel. So back just for a moment to YouTube channel memberships. I'll have that information linked below. There's also one other way, actually 2 other ways you can support me on YouTube. There's a little heart button under all the videos that's like a thanks button. If you want to just thank me that way, you are more than welcome to. Again, this isn't an infomercial. I've just had people ask me how to support me and my art, and I just wanted to share that with you. So there's a little thanks button there, but also just watching my videos shows your support. Liking them, subscribing, leaving comments. Just by watching my videos, because I'm monetized, it supports my art as well. So this next haul that's on the screen is from our trip to Florida. One of our absolute favorite places to vacation is the Panhandle, the 30A area of Florida. We hadn't been there since 2017, and we used to go there every year, and I missed the beach so much. So because in 2018 they had a hurricane, we couldn't go. Or actually, no, I don't remember the dates. Anyway, they had a hurricane, we couldn't go in 2018. 2019, we were moving to Austin, and then you all know what happened in 2020, and then we couldn't travel because of Grey Kitty, so we could not wait to get back to the 30A area. This is a haul from that area. That paint that I just showed you over to the right is from an artist that I've been following for a long time, and I didn't even realize he had his own paint out, so I picked up a couple of his paint tubes to try. And then the rest of these items I just found while I was in the area looking at different stores. I found this fun book that I thought would be fun to make an art journal with. Those little negative slides were a really good deal and thought they would be fun to use on art journaling. And then there's a book, an ephemera book below, and I don't remember what else is in the pile. You'll see it coming up. I went to a couple antique stores, I think I went to a thrift store. I loved this spelling book because I think these words are going to be fun to cut out on art journals. The Gardener's Catalog has amazing graphics in it. And then coming up, you'll see some funny, strange numbers that I picked up. They were super cheap, and I thought, hey, they'll be fun to use, and probably put them into some scrap packs in my Etsy shop. So now it's probably time to thank you for making it this far in my video because it's almost halfway done. Thank you so much for watching to this point. I really appreciate, as I always say, your support and continued support, and even through the times when I don't post as much, I really appreciate you sticking around with me on my channel. Thank you for being a member if you are one. I have some plans for you, some new videos in the member section coming up that I cannot wait to post. So speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about my plans for the future. Don't worry, there's no crazy earth-shattering news here. I just wanted to share with you kind of where I'm going and what's going on with my channel and my art business. I kind of don't always pick a word for the year, but with our crazy last 5+ years of life, I decided that I'm kind of just going to lean into a word this year, and that word is peace. I just want a nice, peaceful, uneventful, enjoyable year after everything we've been through lately. So anything that I say yes to this year is going to have to be something that is just not stressful and peaceful to me. I have a bunch of goals, but I'm not stressing if I make them. They're just things that I would like to do this year if I can get to them. I have some exciting things up the road that I know for sure are happening that I can't wait to share with you. So stick around. I know we all don't like it when people say, oh, I have something cool that's going to happen, but I can't share it. That's just the way it is. I just want you to know that there's fun things coming from me, so stick around. I also am continuing with the Stencil Girl creative team this year. I'm excited to continue with them. I love being part of their creative team and using their stencils. So there's one thing I'm for sure doing this year. Last year I said goodbye to a house of books, mainly because I opened my own Etsy store, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. However, I still encourage you to support a house of books. They have amazing ephemera and kits that I know you want to purchase. But before I talk more about the future, let's talk about what's on your screen right now. There is an amazing antique show that happens in my area 3 times a year. I've lived in Texas for a very long time and just started going to it. It's called the Antique Festival, and it's in Round Top. It happens in March, October, and then there's a really small winter show in January. I know a lot of you know about it because you ask me about it and you're excited to see what I find when I go there. And I really haven't found a whole lot. I've now gone 3 times. I think that I don't go the right places, or I miss out on the things that were there that somebody else bought. But I just love going because it is so inspirational. I love seeing the displays, looking at all the fun things. It's a great day to get away. It's only like an hour and a half drive for me. And so it's a fun day just to get away and look for stuff. And this is the little haul I picked up in October of last year. I got these 2 little receipt books, a grade book behind there, and then another fun book that I'll show you in a minute. My first trip to Round Top was in 2022, I think. I don't remember. But I got a whole bunch of ledgers that first time that I went there, and I've put several of them in my Etsy store because I just can't use them all. But that one trip I found a bunch of ledgers. I have seen some since then that just haven't been like worth the price that the people have put on them. But I love it when I find fun things like this little word book and these receipts. This next ledger that I found was crazy. The guy had a ton of paper ephemera, but he wanted like $4 a piece for each piece of paper. And then he had this journal that was like blowing in the wind, and I think he wanted like $2 or $3 for it. So I'm like, yeah, that works for me. So this is a fun little really falling apart ledger journal book that I picked up when I was there in October. And this book, I could not resist. I don't even remember how much it was, more than I usually pay for stuff, but it is an old school book about Iowa, and I had to pick it up. You just heard me say that that's where my parents live. I grew up in Minnesota and Iowa, and this is just the coolest little book. I probably will never do anything with it other than display it. It's falling apart, but it was so much fun. The lady had a bunch of other little things from Iowa, but nothing that interested me as much as this little book. And that's from my Round Top trip in October. So back to that talk about plans for the future. As I said, I'm leaning into the word peace coming up. I want to have a whole lot more art for you, more videos, more member videos, any kind of collabs, YouTube hops or things I'm open to, as long as they go with that word peace. I just don't want to be stressed and want to enjoy this next year. In fact, because we traveled so much last year, we don't even have our vacations planned for this year. It's crazy that we can even plan them because it's been so long that we could plan them. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this year brings, and I am so thankful that you're along on the journey with me. So I think I've just about covered all the little notes that I wrote down that I wanted to remember to mention in this video, so I'll pretty much talk about what's on the screen from here on out, unless I think of something else to mention. If you have any questions about Round Top, my experience, what to do there, where to stay, go ahead and leave those below. I am not a seasoned person, but I do plan a lot and check things out and have kind of a routine and a route and things I like to do when I go, even though I've only been a few times. This next bag is also from Round Top. I don't remember which time I got it. It doesn't really matter because things change all the time. This is a little business writing book that I thought was kind of fun. And then if you see the sticker on the book underneath of it, the lady wrote, "Great ephemera," and that pulled me in. So I picked that book up. It's got some really, really neat pink maps on the inside that I think will be fun to use in art journaling. It's kind of falling apart, so it's absolutely perfect for ephemera. My followers are always asking me what I find in Round Top, where I find things, what I found when I've gone places, and I just haven't had the time or the energy to share everything. So hopefully this video is kind of catching you up on what I found, where I found it, and yeah, everything that's gone on lately. So I went to Round Top recently for the winter show. I've never been to the winter show. It was my first time. It's like only 2 or 3 days long. I was actually going to spend a couple nights there, but it was so cold that I only went for 1 day, and I almost left empty-handed. I've gotten to be a little picky in the ledgers that I purchased or the ephemera that I purchased because I really kind of figured out what I like and figured out my style a little bit more lately, and so I found a few things that I liked along the way, but nothing that I wanted to spend a whole lot of money on. And the very last stop that I made had 3 of these large, amazing ledgers. Now she was gonna give me a deal on all 3, but I really only needed, quote, 1 of them. But she'd give me a deal on 2, so I thought, oh, I might as well get 2 of them because they're so cool. I already have plans for 1 of them, and it's going to involve probably the 100-day project coming up. I didn't mention that, but yes, I'm planning on doing the 100-day project. We'll see. But if I do, it's going to involve one of these ledgers. I don't have plans for the second one. It's amazing, and the paper is amazing. They were kind of more expensive than I normally like to spend on a ledger. I might actually break it up and sell the pages. I'm not exactly sure yet. I'm just going to kind of keep it on the shelf for now until I decide what I want to do with it. So yes, for the future, as of right now, I'm planning on doing the 100-day project, and I'm also planning on doing iCAD again this year, but then again, either of those could change because my word is peace, and if at the time I'm stressed, I'm not going to do them. So one thing I really like to do is take a day trip in the area. As long as it's within an 1.5 to 2 hour drive, I'll go to the area for the day, go to some of the antique stores. Sometimes I go when there's like an event going on, like a market or a flea market or a once a year sale. And so this ledger is absolutely amazing, and it came from a town that I went to that was having a like vintage market, and I'd never been to it. And so I walked around the market, walked around the antique store, and came across these ledgers, and the paper is paper that I have never seen in a ledger before. And a lot of the papers have like blotting paper between them. They're really, it's just I say there were 3 of them. I got 2. One was for me, one was for my mom. She saw how cool they were and asked me to pick one up for her. But this paper is super thick. It's a really kind of like white with a touch of gray blue to it. And I don't have plans for it yet. it's just too amazing that I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I kind of thought that I'd take some papers out and create on them individually. But right now, this is another one that's just going to live on my shelf until I decide what to do with it. So I often have people ask me where I find these cool ledgers, and now you can see that I found some in Roundup. I find them in antique stores like this one here, and I'm not going to give away all of my secrets, but you just have to be open to finding them and you will find them. Local antique stores, flea markets, places online, such as like Facebook Marketplace. You'll be You'll be amazed where they are. Also, Etsy. I sell them on Etsy, the ones that I find. I've been looking for ledgers for a long time, and so I've found quite a few, and as I've kind of honed in on my style and what kind of ledger I like to use, I'm starting to let some go, and I've been putting them up in my Etsy store, and I hope that they will be used by people who have a hard time finding ledgers. And so that's one thing I like to do when I find cool things. Even if I find ledgers that aren't for me necessarily, I like to snag them and put them up in the shop because I know a lot of people have a hard time finding them. My Etsy shop will be linked below, and one of my things that's on my goal list this year is to also get some digital items up there. I know some of these ledgers can be a little bit more expensive, and so sometimes having digital copies of some of the pages are what people would like, and so I hope to have some digital items up there as well. And I also hope to eventually ship more internationally as soon as I get all of the legal things and taxes and all that figured out. So when I was on that day trip, when I had picked up that ledger that you just saw, I popped into another antique store that was across the street and picked up these two little things. Each one I think was $1. This little, it's like a school, monthly newsletter type thing. It had some funny things in it, so I thought for $1, it's worth it. Finding fun little ephemera things in antique stores, it can be hard. Sometimes they're really expensive, but sometimes you find a treasure. Now, this little ledger was also marked $1, and I did not look at it. I assumed based on the price and based on the cover that you could see that it was just going to be blank paper. So I am opening it up right now for the first time on camera, and I am shocked at what's inside. It is a recipe book. This is so fun. It has handwritten recipes in it and newspaper clipping recipes in it, and I had no idea that that's what this would be for my $1. So of anything from this haul video, I hope it encourages you to plan a little artist date and go to the towns around you and just check out some of the antique stores and markets, because you'll never know what you find. And if you're unable to do that, I have seen some really neat ephemera on Etsy, and there are also lots of sellers on Instagram that sell vintage items. I often share some of them when I come across them, but there are some neat sellers as well on Instagram that sell things, and the ephemera's out there, and I truly hope that you find it. So we have this shop in Austin called Uncommon Goods that I enjoy going to, and once in a while I pay a little bit more for something that I really want to, and this book was a little bit more than I normally spend on stuff. I think it was $10. But I love the number charts on the inside, and I love using that in my artwork. And then this little guy, it was only $5, and I thought, oh, this is kind of fun. I really love the little tab things. I think they'll be fun to use and to make a journal. I don't think I'll end up using the cover. I might throw it up on Etsy, but I mainly got it for that paper on the inside. So Uncommon Goods that I just mentioned is kind of one of my regular places to check out. And then we also have another antique store in a town next to me that I check out often. Usually it's just to look at the really cool things because they're kind of a little bit more expensive. But this time that I was there, I did actually pick up this bundle of letters. I did not really look at it, nor did I look inside these that I picked up. And I'm doing that for the first time right now. I actually picked this up at their grand opening of their second store, and I was just in the mood to buy a couple things that day. Like I said, I normally look for deals. I don't normally spend a lot on my ephemera, but I'm glad I bought these because I think these are like onion skin paper maybe. They're really thin and they are brittle and they are so neat. And this letter is like 20 pages long. This person had a lot to say. That's kind of one reason that I picked it up, because it was so thick for the price, and I'm so glad I did. Not only is the paper cool, but there is a lot of it. As I was opening that first one, I was sure hoping the second one would be just as cool, and it is. It's got really neat paper in it as well, and this person had even more to say. Look at how thick this letter is, and even though it's falling apart, it's going to be so much fun to use in an art journal. These are two amazing finds that I got at that store, and also this bundle of letters. Again, I hadn't opened it until now, and I was amazed to find out what was on the inside. Lots of times the bundles of letters in the store aren't like super large, and they're kind of a little bit more expensive than I want to pay. But I really that day, like I said, wanted to buy something and picked this up, and now I'm paging through it, and I'm so glad I did, because there's not only some really cool envelopes in it, but there are some really neat postcards, and in a little bit there's going to be some packets of stamps that I did not know were in here. So how cool is this bundle with this handwriting? This is also the store that has the garage sale once a year that I have the video up for. I'll try to remember to link that below, but it's so much fun to find neat ephemera out there. So I did pick up some art supplies throughout the year. Most of it I used because I needed to use it. It was a color I was replacing. There were new colors that I had to play with. But this is a pile of supplies that I just hadn't gotten to yet. There was an art store in Texas that went out of business, and I was able to visit it, one of the locations in San Antonio, and everything was like super cheap. So I got these little tiny journals to play with. I also got this set of Liquitex basics. They're just the basic primary colors. I thought they would be fun to play with because I haven't played with Liquitex a lot since I was in college. It's what I used in the university. Thought it'd be fun to play with them and compare them to Goldens because, again, so cheap. Somehow this Tim Holtz ephemera got in this bag, but it was from my trip to Iowa. I also picked up some paint brushes. The Simply Simmons are my favorite. I got those, I think, when I was in Houston at the art supply store there. Whenever I'm there, I like to pick up some to replace my favorites. And it's a lot easier just to grab them at the art store than to order them online. Coming up, you're going to see some Tim Holtz collage medium. This is the kind that's colored. I've been wanting to try it for a while and saw it at the art store in Houston and thought I'd grab that as well. Next are a couple jars of Dorland's wax medium. This stuff lasts forever, but it was on super clearance at this store that was going out of business, so I had to pick up a couple. I don't use glue sticks a lot in my artwork, but I like to always have a few on hand. They're great to travel with. They're great to use in certain situations, so I made sure I grabbed a few of those. And then my last Blick order, I realized that my favorite Liquitex spray paint comes in transparent black, and I thought I would try that. And they also have a spray paint nozzle cleaner, which I didn't know about, and also replacement nozzles or caps. And so I grabbed each of those. I have used some of the replacement caps, but I haven't tried the cleaner yet. So I'm not looking forward to it because I don't like when they clog. But now I'm going to figure that out. I also needed some new fixative. And then I also picked up a bunch of random things along the way. So some of these are Simply Simmons replacement brushes. Some of them are Stabilo Alls in the black and graphite that, again, super clearance at the art store. Some of them are some other brands of paintbrushes that were on sale at a different art store that I thought it would be fun to try another type of paintbrush because they're on sale. There are also a few other water-soluble pencils in this pile, and I'm planning on comparing them all in a video coming up with the Stabilo All and the other water-soluble mediums that I like. I found a few more this summer that I thought I'd try out, and I haven't tried them yet, but I'm going to do a video with them. And then another of the Princeton Catalyst spatula things. It was also super clearance at the art store. So another day trip I like to make is Waco. Most people know Waco for Magnolia, but there is so much other fun stuff to do in Waco. Lots of little antique stores. This little green drawer I picked up at one of the antique stores, I'm going to put all of my black and white vintage photos in it. And then there's also an antique store called Laverty's, and if you've watched any of the Magnolia Fixer Uppers, it's a place that Joe likes to go to, and they only open to the public. I think it's like 3 or 4 times a year maybe, and so I really like to go up when they have one of their sales. They have some really unique, often very nicely priced things. Oh, and here's one more book that I picked up when I was in Iowa. My mom gave it to me. It was one of my relatives' books, my great-grandfather's math book. I probably won't take it apart and use it for ephemera, but it'll be fun to put on my shelf. So here's my little haul that I got at the last Laverty sale. I picked up this dictionary, which I realized I already had another one of them, so this one is going up in my Etsy shop. I love these picture dictionaries, and I love the patina on these pages. It's a really neat one, and it's great for collaging with. I also picked up this stamp catalog because the pages are super great patina and has a lot of great images on it. It's not really something I think that I'll use in my art, but I couldn't resist picking it up to throw it up in my Etsy shop for one of you. I'm smelling it right now because it had like a florally scent to it. I thought that was really interesting. But it's a fun little stamp catalog, and it will be up in my store as well. And then I ran across this really unique book. It's called Fences, and it is full of diagrams of fences. And oh, the end pages are really cool too. Isn't this a neat book? All of the diagrams and the typefaces and fonts and everything are just really neat. It's a really cool book. I did look it up online to see if it was like a valuable book or anything, and there are some out there. I think I don't remember the bookstore. If you look online, one of the places that sells used books had a few of them, and I think Amazon might have had some, but it's a really cool book. If you're looking for some ephemera, look for this Fences book because it's really neat, and the paper is really cool too. One little helpful hint for you, which I love to share, is that sometimes I see books like this that people share that they found, and I take note of them. I actually keep track of fun books I look them up on Amazon, or I look them up at bookstores online to see if I can find them, because you don't always know like if a book is going to be really cool or if it's one you should grab for ephemera. And so this is one to put on your list if you ever come across it, or if you want to look for it at a used bookstore, because the ephemera and the drawings are just so cool. So add it to your list. I also picked up this yearbook. I really didn't need another yearbook, but I really liked the cover and I really liked the pictures in this one. For some reason, it just grabbed me. They always have lots of yearbooks at Laverty's, and honestly, I can find yearbooks just about anywhere in my area. I live in Austin. The University of Texas is here, and they have a resale shop for the university, and they always have yearbooks there. And so if you're someone looking for a yearbook, let me know because I will gladly try to source some and add them to my Etsy store for you. And lastly, I picked up this amazing tape measure. It is like fabric and it is so cool. I'm looking forward to cutting it up and using pieces of it in my journal pages. And then I also picked up this drawing. I think it's a house. I don't remember. Anyway, it was a cool drawing. And they often, it says waist diagram on it. They often have neat things like this. I picked up a whole set of blueprints once at Laverty's, so it's a fun little shop to go to when they're open. Okay, my voice is definitely getting tired, and this is the last item in this haul. Several times a year, I often buy large lots of photos to use in my artwork. I absolutely love using old vintage photos in my art. I often find sellers online that sell them in large groups of 1,000 photos. And so this is the last one I received in the mail, and it is, I think, 1,000 or so photos. Now, in all honesty, this isn't the best box that I've ever received. I've gotten some much better photos than this one, but it's fun to add them to my collection. I'm weeding out my photos. I have a ton of them, and I'm going to start adding some photo packs to my Etsy shop as well. I'm going to put these in the green little box that I found to see if it works out. And I'm eventually going to put some little dividers and make this look a little bit nicer for my art studio. But people often ask me where I find photos, and oftentimes I can get a bundle of them on eBay for not much. You can get 1,000 photos, and people sell them in large bundles. So, oh my goodness, if you've made it through this entire video, I think I should congratulate you. I feel like this is the time in the video where I should leave some secret word or something that you let me know that you made it this far so that I can enter you in a drawing. I should have planned something like that, but I didn't. But thank you so much, seriously, for watching this video, for supporting my art, for listening to me ramble on for an hour. Normally I'm a pretty quiet person, so the fact that I've talked for almost an hour now is pretty incredible. So if you have any questions on anything that I found, any shops that I mentioned that I forgot to link below, be sure to leave them below. If you have any questions on the supplies or anything that I use of where I find these items, something that I forgot to mention or anything, just let me know. Sometimes I ramble too much and I forget to share everything. Thank you so much for being part of my art journey. If you are one of my members and you're watching this, thank you times a million to you for supporting my channel. If you're interested in membership, I'll have that info linked below. If you have any questions about it, you're welcome to send me a message on Instagram or send me an email. The very last, I think, tab on YouTube says about this channel, and on that tab, or in the info on that tab, is my email address, and you're welcome to email me too. I love hearing from you, and I thank you again so much for your support. So be sure you keep tabs on my Etsy store. Look up Nicole Watson Art there, or I'll link it below. I drop new items in it the first of every month about noon Central Time, and I like to share things that I find with you. Sometimes I find way more than I can use, 1,000 photos, and so it is actually an honor and a privilege to share fun ephemera with you. And thank you so much for your support of my shop and my channel and my art. I also have original art on Etsy as well, for you to purchase if it inspires you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and here's to happy hunting and finding of your own cool ephemera. Thanks for watching.